everyone. I'm Maddie from Temple of Geek here at Anime Riverside, and I get to talk with Kayleigh McKee. How are you today?
I'm doing very well. Nice to talk to you all. Nice to talk to you as well.
Yes, and thank you so much. So how does it feel to be on the convention scene amongst all of these fans?
Frankly, it's been amazing. The attention has been, very sometimes like overwhelming, but in a very good way. And every time that I see somebody smile and walk away happy, a little piece of my soul grows and blooms. It's been fantastic.
That's amazing. Yeah, it always does feel so good to be around so many like-minded people, for sure. Now, here at Anime Riverside, what is the coolest thing that you've seen so far?
Honestly, a lot of the cosplayers that have been coming through here, there's some stuff that it knocks my socks off. There was actually somebody who was cosplaying Yuta who had this huge Rika they made coming out of their back and with like claws, and blew me away, as well as a couple like this Springtrap like from Five Nights at Freddy's. The amount of work that goes into some of this cosplay, seeing fans coming in wearing this stuff and seeing the work they've put into it, I'm always just so taken aback and impressed.
Yeah, I saw that Yuta cosplayer and they nailed it. Absolutely nailed it. Yeah. So what got you into voice acting originally? Was it something you had always set out to do?
So my dad always he liked anime before I was born, and he also played tabletop RPGs. So he got me into anime and tabletop like as a very young kid, and so I always loved them. And then I loved like Cartoon Network and things like that, and video games. And I had a lot of some of my dad's friends were artists, and they inspired me to draw as a little kid. And then I saw a school play when I was little, and I was like, I want to do that. And so I got into acting, I got into drawing, I was into anime and Dungeons and Dragons, from a very, very young age. And so as I grew older and I kept doing acting, I kept drawing, I really decided that it's what I wanted to do with my life. And how better to synthesize art and acting than voiceover, where I give life to these characters, especially with the range that I have as a trans woman. I don't want to play men on screen, but I will give voice to men, male characters, with the range that I have. And I don't see it any different as, actresses like Miley who do Naruto. It's just that I have somewhat of a more unique range.
Yeah, absolutely. I love that. That's very cool. Thank you.
Of course.
Now, of the characters that you voice, who do you connect with the most?
On a personal level, I think Yuta I connect with the most, with life experiences. I've lost friends who are close to me. I've experienced that trauma. And I've also had a hard time in high school, and then I transferred high schools to a high school where I made new friends, and I was able to grow as a person and overcome some of that trauma that I had in my life. And I did a lot better at that new place. And that's exactly what happens to Yuta. So those parallels, I think, I have a lot of connection there, and I really understand his feelings.
Yeah, that's very special to have such a personal connection with that character. What do you want audiences to take away from the character of Yuta?
Have a support network. Find like-minded people who love you and who will be there for you, and you will find that you can take on the entire world with their support, because that's what happened with Yuta.
Absolutely. That's incredible. Now, do you keep up with the manga for the characters that you voice, or do you like to be surprised?
A little bit of both. I find it almost impossible to not be spoiled on some stuff, especially with Yuta. I've had there's no way to avoid some people going, he does this later, right? So I learn, and then I get interested enough that I go and I read like that volume, and I hate that I'm doing it while I'm reading. I'm like, I shouldn't know this, but I love this. But I mostly try to let myself be green and experience his growth, or like any character's growth naturally, but it doesn't always happen.
Right. Yeah, that totally makes sense. Yes.
And like, especially when I'm a fan, I was already a fan of Jujutsu Kaisen before I was Yuta.
That's so exciting. How did that feel when you got to be cast in a movie for a franchise you already loved?
I got the call that I was cast, and I just sort of like sat there for a moment, and I was like, oh yeah, oh hell yeah. And then of course the bias sets in of like, did I, was part of the reason I got it because I was able to perform it well because I know the vibe of the series, or like, all of those things come in. It's like maybe it was because I'm a fan, that they sensed it in my energy. But obviously, I was flattered and a little nervous, but especially a lot of times when I get calls like that, I let myself feel it for like 5 minutes, and then I throw it away. I put it inside, and I'm like, all right, I am a business professional. It is job time.
Right.
And, things can always happen. The movie might get delayed. They might have to recast. I might get sick. And so I don't let myself feel that it's real until it is like out, or I'm on promotional material. Like then I've recorded it. I know it's happening. And then I can allow myself to break down again and be like,
Absolutely. What has been the most rewarding part of being a voice actor?
The first time that I got a message from a person that said, your work made me feel like I didn't have to stay in the closet as a trans or gender nonconforming person, I knew that I had accomplished what I wanted to accomplish. Because that was a big part of the reason why I pushed myself forward, is because I wanted to be good representation for my community, as well as just being, a strong actor who can entertain, and also wanted to make people feel through my performances. And when people resonate with my performances emotionally, and when they find a sense of kinship in the representation that I can bring, that just it's a feeling that I can't even rightly describe. I'm just so grateful to be able to do that for folks.
Very cool. Well, that feels like a really good place to stop. Thank you so much for taking the time to talk with us.
Of course.
And I hope you have a great rest of your con.
I hope you do as well, and I hope anybody that's still here, while we're recording this does as well.
Absolutely. Thank you so much.
Of course.